Why, hello there. I'm Sin. We're in the Book Nook, and today we're going to talk about my past, present, and future of books. What I've finished, what I'm in the middle of, and what we're going to get into. All right. Recently, I finished Darcy Coates' latest book, How Bad Things Can Get. Okay, so the premise is there's this influencer guy, Eaton, and he throws this big festival on this island called Prosperity Island. And so everybody, there's like 500 plus people that go to this thing. And so they all get on this cruise ship, they go to the island. And so it's supposed to be the party of the century. Miles of idyllic white sand beaches, lush jungle foliage, and a dark legend nobody dreamed might be all too true. So when Eaton and several hundred of his most loyal fans land on Prosperity Island, the plan is simple: 5 days of elaborate games, drinking, and suntan fun. Or that's what it should have been. A week in paradise should have been a welcome respite. The only survivor of an infamous cult, Ruth, wants nothing more than to keep her head down and not draw attention. She spent decades outrunning her blood-soaked childhood, and her identity is a closely held secret. For now. But then the true history of the island is revealed, along with its sinister connection to Ruth's past. As guests go missing and games turn deadly, Ruth and the rest of the attendees are forced to question whether they've really been invited to paradise or whether something much darker and far bloodier is waiting for them just beyond the bonfire's light. Okay, so I know sometimes reading a story that has to do with an influencer can be a turnoff, because if this book wasn't written by Darcy Coates, I probably wouldn't have read it. And she did such an amazing job. Like, it's such an addictive read from the beginning. I read this book in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. But I feel like every time I read a Darcy Coates book, even if it's like not my favorite book of hers, I always fly through the pages. While I had a sneaking suspicion of what might have tipped events towards one way, I also was wrong about other stuff that happened. But it's kind of like, it's an isolation thriller, which I do like those a lot. It takes place on the beach, which is a setting I enjoy quite a bit. And like there's like a weird cult history with this island, but at the same time, it's not the same cult that Ruth escaped from. So it's a different one that has very interesting history to it as well. And then you get into the background of the cult that Ruth was in, and those kind of horror stories always fascinate me. So that part was really interesting. And then a little bit of it reminded me, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie Club Dread, which was made by the same people that did Super Troopers, which was kind of like a parody horror movie. It is gory and gruesome, so this is definitely not one of her cozy horrors, because Darcy Coates is known for being a cozy horror author, but this one is very gory. I like to warn people also when there's eyeball things that happen in books, so if you don't like eyeball stuff, there's only one part, but still, just be warned. I hate that in books, and yet I'll still read them, and I hate it. I wish someone would tell me that there's eyeball stuff, and I'm like, no. The characters are good. It's fast-paced. It holds your attention. It's just really hard to put down. Like, one of the better thrillers I've read in recent times. So if you like Darcy Coates, you'll probably like this one, maybe. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts on it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think? Did you think the whole influencer thing was dumb? I don't know. All right, so currently I'm in the middle of Fiend by Alma Katsu. I'm actually not really in the middle. I just started and I'm about a chapter in. So in the beginning, you have two of the kids, and they're like pretty young. Darden, who's like the male heir and the only male child, he's like 12. And then the other daughter, Maris, is like 7 or 8 or 9. I'm not quite sure. But they live in this New York penthouse. Maris is like, she thinks it's haunted, and she feels like bad energy and bad vibes, and she notices like when her father's around, she feels it even more. But she was hearing like weird noises in the walls and stuff, and so you come into that. Already I'm intrigued, I'm interested, right? And this story is about this Barisha family, and they're super obnoxiously rich. They're like one of the world's biggest importer-exporters, and they didn't get to being one of the world's richest families without a little bit of blood spillage. And so as the kids get older, I don't know what the age progression is going to be in this, but Darden is the one who's going to take over, like, and know about the family secrets. He's going to learn that the blessings of their family might just be a curse, and how they've been so prosperous and what's behind it all. And so it's kind of seems like it's going to be the downfall of this family, because what I read in the synopsis is that eventually the family members start pitting themselves against each other. So we'll see what happens. I've read one other book by Alma Katsu, which was The Fervor. I love that book. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It's a historical horror. And so far, the first chapter, this already has me pulled in. So I'm looking forward to reading more of that tonight. All right. So let me tell you what I'm going to get into in the future. We got a couple books from the library. So first up, we have Crafting for Sinners by Jenny Kiefer. I read one other book by her that I absolutely loved, and that was This Wretched Valley. It was a horror in the woods, and it was super weird. It was on one of my top 10 lists of horror of the year, which might have been last year's. And if it wasn't last year's, it was the year before, but I think it was on last year's list. So, this book, let me tell you about it. Ruth is trapped. She's stuck in her small religious hometown of Kill Devil, Kentucky. Stuck in the closet and stuck living paycheck to paycheck. After her manager finds out that she lives with her girlfriend, Ruth is fired from her job at New Creations, a craft store owned by the church that dominates life in Kill Devil. In an act of revenge, Ruth attempts to shoplift some yarn, but is caught red-handed, and instead of calling the police, the employees lock her in the store and attack her. As Ruth fights for her life using only the crafting supplies at hand, she plunges deeper into the tangled web of the New Creationists, who are hiding a terrible secret that threatens not only her, but the entire town. Urgent, scathing, and utterly original. So yeah, religious trauma horror, let's frickin' go. Like I said, I really loved her other book, This Wretched Valley. If you haven't read that, I do have a standalone review for that. I'll put a link to that down below in the description if you are interested and want to check that out. And after that one, I have a non-fiction that I'm super stoked to read, and that is Tim Curry, Vagabond. From time to time, I do like to read celebrity biographies / autobiographies and whatnot, and Tim Curry is an actor that I've thought has always chosen interesting and strange roles. Let's tell you about this one. There are few stars in Hollywood that can boast the kind of resume that Tony Award-nominated actor Tim Curry has built over the past 5 decades. From his breakout role as Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, to his iconic depiction of the sadistic clown Pennywise in It, to his critically acclaimed role as the original King Arthur in both the Broadway and West End versions of Spam-A-Lot, Curry redefined what it meant to be a character actor, portraying heroes and villains alike with complexity, nuance, and a genuine understanding of human darkness. His dozens of iconic roles across film, television, and the stage have left an indelible imprint on children and adults alike, lending his instantly recognizable voice to countless cartoons, audiobooks, and video games. Now, in his first ever memoir, Curry takes readers behind the scenes of his rise to fame, from his early beginnings as a military brat to his formative years in boarding school and college, to the moment when he hit the stage for the first time. He goes in depth about what it was like to work on some of the most emblematic works of the 20th century, constantly switching between a camera and a live audience. He also explores the voice work that defined his later career and provided him with a chance to pivot after surviving a catastrophic stroke in 2012 that nearly took his life. So I am super excited to read this. Tim Curry is a freaking legend. And yeah, if you have any interest in Tim Curry, definitely check this out. There will be a standalone review coming in the future, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And I'll have more thoughts on this at that time. So what have you been reading recently? Let me know. I'm always curious. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back to me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.